Hey, welcome back to a new video. Today we're trying a really interesting, intricate brand you may have seen for their just gorgeous packaging like this palette. The brand is Florasis. I'm hoping I'm saying that correctly. If not, feel free to correct me in the comments below. But this brand is inspired by sort of ancient Chinese makeup traditions and packaging and patterns, and it really shows through the brand how beautiful their makeup is. But the question is, it looks beautiful on the outside, but how are these formulas going to perform? Are they going to live up to sort of the beauty that you see on the outside of them? So we're going to go ahead and try that out in today's video and see if this gorgeous brand is going to be worth the money. Before we get into today's video, I do have a brief word from the sponsor of today's video, which is the jewelry brand you've probably heard me talk about before because I'm always wearing their pieces, Ana Luisa. They make high quality and affordable jewelry pieces. There's truly something for everyone on their site. They do a really good job at having so many different styles. So no matter if you're giving it as a gift or picking out something for yourself, they have gold, silver, more modern pieces, but also really classic things like pearls. So there's gonna be something that you can find that you're gonna love and wear every day. So I have a lot of gold jewelry from Ana Luisa that I love. It hasn't tarnished for years. It wears really well and they really stand to that quality. They give you a money back guarantee. But I wanted to pick out some silver pieces. I've been wearing a little bit more silver nowadays, and I got these silver hoops that I'm wearing today, which I have the gold version, and they're some of my most worn earrings. Something about the oval shape I just find really fun versus like a full circle hoop, just like a little bit more fun twist on a hoop. So I've been loving these in silver, but they also come in gold. And then I have this little necklace combo as well, which is really simple and dainty and perfect for layering. It goes with all of my other pieces. And then I have this really cool sort of like quilted texture rings. I think they do rings with interesting textures so well. I have their croissant rings, some of my favorite from the whole brand. And this one has that gorgeous quality about it as well, where it's simple, but the texture just gives it such an interesting vibe that's really eye-catching. So if you want to pick up anything from Ana Luisa, you can use my code, which I will pop in the description below. They truly are a great jewelry company, and I think you'll love them as well. So check down there below. Thank you again to Ana Luisa, but let's go ahead and get into this makeup brand. To get started, I have one of their cushion foundations here, and this is called the Water Lily Balancing Cushion Foundation Flawless Jade Edition. It says that it's lightweight and light proof, pore blurring, non-comedogenic, and oil controlling for 24-hour shine-free finish, ultra fine and weightless and luminous. And it also says it's made for sensitive skin, which I'm quite excited about. We're gonna go ahead and try it out. I'm not sure which shade I have. It doesn't say on here. I might have to check the packaging, but you just go ahead and open it up. It is so beautiful, by the way. This compact has this like opalescence to it, and you just open it up and then you get the applicator on the top here, and then it just opens to the cushion. This is a $42 foundation, so it is quite pricey. I'm really interested to see how it performs. I'm not the most versed in cushion foundations, so the application says to press the puff into the cushion and lightly pat foundation and blend. Okay, interesting. And then it says for extra coverage, directly onto imperfection. Let's try this out. Oh, okay. I'm not used to picking up that much product. I haven't tried the shade or anything, so I'm hoping it will work. Okay, it looks like it's their fair shade with more of like a yellowy undertone. Definitely picked up a lot of product. Oh my gosh, this has so much coverage. This is giving me so much coverage. The only other cushion foundations I'm used to are definitely on the light coverage side. The shade is maybe slightly dark for me. It was totally my fault when I pushed into the cushion. I just did it with way too much pressure and got a lot of product, like enough for my whole face just on that one application. But I mean, it blended out beautifully. It definitely has like a dewy natural finish, and the coverage, it is like a pretty full coverage product. I was totally not expecting. It's very interesting that it claims to be oil controlling, but it also has such a beautiful finish to it. I also found that applying it just in the way they suggest with the actual cushion applied really smoothly and goes beautifully over texture. It's really similar to just, I mean, it is a sponge, really similar to just using like a regular sponge, because when you're patting, it's gonna go really smoothly over texture and not going to look possibly as cakey as, you know, a brush can make things look. No fragrance in here that I noticed, maybe like a very, very slight one, but it says that it's made for sensitive skin, so I'm guessing it doesn't really have an artificial fragrance. This was so full coverage, I'm not feeling like I need another layer. Redness is evened out, blemishes are toned down. I think because this was like a warm yellowy shade, it helped a lot with my redness. It looks beautiful. I'm excited to see if this wears well. I'm just gonna go ahead and put on a little bit of my House Labs concealer, and then we can move on to the powder that they have. So next up we have one of these setting powders, which is a similar packaging to the Cushion foundation. This one is a bit thicker and has a really cool sort of opening mechanism. So you just push this button down here and then you sort of twist it to open it. And then you get this super thick velour puff with it. And then just like the Cushion foundation, you open it up and the product is inside. So this says it's an ultra light setting powder, oil control but not dry. So non-drying, airbrushed finish. Also says this case reinterprets what? It says this case reinterprets the powder compact in which ancient Chinese ladies stored their cosmetic powders or blush. The intricate lines echo the elegance of Eastern aesthetics, taking inspiration from the traditional Chinese windows. They have a couple like editions of this with, I think the one I'm looking at now is the Jade edition, so it actually has a different color on the front of it. So the foundation feels like really set on my skin. It's almost, I wouldn't say that it's sticky, but like it feels like it really like is stuck on my skin in a good way, in a way that I would like wear a really long time, but it does still have like a slight tackiness to it. I do want to try this under my eyes. For that I'm going to use a brush, but we will try the powder puff for the rest of my face. The shade I have here, by the way, it says 03 on the packaging. It looks quite beautiful under the eyes. It feels really light and it was smoothing, and it definitely didn't deepen my under eyes either. Now let's take this big puffy velour puff and set down the face. I don't use a puff for my powder a lot. I do like how cushiony this one is. Looks beautiful over the foundation too. I think this method of setting the foundation really worked well because, like I mentioned, it was a bit sticky, and now it just feels, everything feels really lightweight, which is interesting for how much coverage that foundation had. This shade, by the way, is described as perfect for oily skin, translucent matte for all skin tones. They have a lot of different shades. They have one called 01, which is for oily skin, shimmering fair for light skin tone, breathable and shimmering look. They have one for medium skin tone, a natural shimmer for light skin, natural matte for medium skin, translucent matte for all skin, and shimmer for fair skin. So I have both a shimmer and matte finish one, but the one that I have here is one of the matte finishes. So far the skin looks beautiful. It gives this soft matte like glow to it almost, which is just my favorite finish in makeup. Usually they last so well on my skin. Shade was definitely a little bit dark, and I did use quite a lot of the foundation by accident, but it still looks really smooth and just like perfected. I don't have a bronzer from them, so I'm just gonna dip into this one from Surat and just do a really light bronze look, but then we will get into some of the beautiful blushes that we have. So here we have the Floral Dew Care Cream to Powder Blushes. One is the shade 09 and one is the shade 10. So the shade 09 is the Peachy Rose shade. Look at how gorgeous these are. It says that it's a cream to powder formula, but the other shade I have here is Tipsy Rose, which is definitely some more cool tone shades. This one looks gorgeous. It says that it's a waterproof and sweat-proof formula made for any season. Smudge free and moisturized with a non-greasy finish. Blendability of a cream meets the staying power of powder. Highly buildable, your blush never disturbs your foundation and melts effortlessly into the skin. I think I'm gonna go ahead and try the more cool tone shade I have here. So let me just touch these and see how they feel. Okay, they do feel like a very, oh, okay, it has that like slight bouncy texture to it almost. I feel like I might need a slightly denser brush for this type of like a sheer cream to powder formula. So let's go ahead and just mix these shades together. I'm not sure how pigmented this is gonna be. Ooh. Yeah, definitely not hitting with a ton of pigment right off the bat, but I did say that it was buildable. Oh my gosh, this shade is gorgeous. I think this brush was a good pick for the formula just to be able to stipple on the color. Ooh, that has such a gorgeous like cool toned glow to it. This is stunning. I put a little bit much on just so you could really see the finish and the color. This is one of the most smoothing blushes I've ever seen on my skin. It has the slightest bit of like cool tone radiance. Like you see the glow that it gives me, but I don't really see like the shimmer particles on my skin. Like it's even more finely milled, I feel like, than the RMS one. Like it just, the fact that it has that creaminess to it, it just melted right in. Very impressed. Let me go ahead and just swatch the warmer shade in case you were curious. Yeah, so they definitely have more of like a sheer blurred finish. There's the peachy one, and then there's the rosy one, but they're really buildable. Like just using that slightly more dense brush, I was able to build up the pigment. Just see that blurring, beautiful finish that they have. They also have highlighters, which I do not have here, but now I'm really interested in trying those. Let me go ahead and do my brows, and then we could move on to this incredibly stunning palette. Next we have this palette, which is a literal work of art. I think it's the most beautiful palette I've ever seen. It's called their Floral Engraving Beauty Goddess Makeup Palette. So the front comes right off and it's magnetic, and then the eyeshadows are sort of like engraved with these really intricate patterns. And just look at that like artwork on the front. Whoa. So there's actually a whole story about what inspired this palette if you want to read it on their website. It's a little long, but it says the shape is inspired by the beauty of exquisite folding fans and the goddess herself. The shimmering fan-shaped gift set houses are new. First Sight palette and a brand new shade of our Love Lock lipstick, Terracotta Romance. So they also have a little set that includes this. This is called the First Sight palette. They have two different versions of this one. This is a 9-pan palette. I did swatch these a little bit, even though they're so beautiful, I didn't want to touch them, but we have to try them out and see if it's gonna be worth it and not just like a beautiful palette. What I really like so far, the shape of this is like really actually ergonomic to the hand. Because it's curved here, it is really easy to hold. So I'm gonna take this sort of like muted, warmer brown. Seems that when I'm using my brush over it, it's not really disturbing the print of it. And just see how this turns out. Okay, that was actually pretty pigmented. Ooh, a come through pigment. Let's go ahead over here. I actually really love these. In terms of doing warm tones, I love these like mustardy browns that have a bit more yellow to them. That apply beautifully and has that same blurring finish that I see in the blush, where it's just like, it's not a powdery matte at all. It's actually like, it feels very, very creamy, like when I swatch it on my fingers. I'm gonna take that same shade and just do a little bit on the lower lash line. Next, to add a little bit of warmth, I'm gonna take this slightly more peachy shade, another one of the mattes. I'm just gonna start to add that to the crease. So far, these mattes are performing beautifully. I don't know why I was expecting them to be a little bit more sheer, but we will see if the shimmers are just as nice as these matte formulas. Next, I'm gonna dip into this shade, which is similar to the one we just laid down, but this one seems to have a little bit of a shimmer in it, just on an angled brush. Yeah, this one has, I think, a slight gold shimmer through it. So pretty. They're really blending beautifully together. I'm just gonna take a blending brush just to go over everything. Next, we have this sort of bronzy color. I really wanna try this one out with my finger. Whoa, pretty pigmented. I'm just gonna tap that on the outer corner. Definitely is like more of a yellowy bronze, so it should go well with those other shades. We're kind of covering up that peachy shade, I realized, but I just wanna try almost all of these. That's gorgeous. These feel like really, really luxe formulas. I mean, when you use them, you are gonna lose that sort of like, I don't know, the engraving, I guess, that's on top of them, but still really gorgeous. So I just swatched some of the shimmers. This light champagne is right up my alley. This is sort of that like brownish green shift. We have this like peachy gold, and then there's also just like a regular gold shade there. I feel like I just have to use this gorgeous champagne shade on the inner corner. That is a really, really beautiful shade. It's nice and light and doesn't have like too much of a warm goldness to it. Like there's a separate gold shade in this palette. This is just a really nice light shimmery shade. I'm getting a little bit of fallout just applying those with my fingers. I feel like this would be really pretty as a highlight. I'm gonna take that on a fluffy brush and just see Yeah, that is really pretty. Next, I want to test and see if these will work well as a nice smoky liner. So I'm going to use the darkest brown shade in the palette here on a liner brush. And we'll see if there's like a ton of fallout and if it gives us enough pigment. Not super pigmented off the bat. So I did get a touch of fallout blending that dark brown as a liner, but it worked beautifully and everything is just looking so cohesive and pretty and glowy. If I had tried these and it wasn't in this beautiful packaging, I think I would be really impressed by, like, even though some of these shimmers, they're a bit more like sheer, but because they have that gel like baked formula to them, they just apply really smoothly, which is some of my favorite types of metallics. Is I'd rather have something be slightly less pigmented but just look so blurring and just gorgeous on the eyes. So this, it's really pretty. We'll see if like anything weird happens with the wear on it, but yeah, really gorgeous shades and formulas. I usually don't do warm tones, but I'm actually really loving this. Sorry if you hear a garbage truck, but I'm gonna pop on some mascara and then we'll move on to the really cool lip products. Add a little bit of waterline liner and I'm just really liking this. Okay, on to the lip products here. I have two. Let's start with this really beautiful ornate lipstick that comes with this little charm on it. So these are called the Floral Dewy Linked Lipstick. And the shade that I have is called my One and Only. So the packaging works by you push this little key button at the top and the lipstick pops out of the bottom and then you just twist it up, and the lipstick also has the sort of gorgeous engraving like the eyeshadows do. I mean, it's so ornate and cool. How did they even do this? Like, this is something like I don't want to wear this, but we have to swatch it. So this is the tube lipstick and it is one of those very soft matte like blurring lipsticks, so that's really interesting. And then over here we have this product. Okay, my bad, this is actually the Flawless Jade Shine liquid lipstick. They have a couple different formulas in this similar packaging, and the shade I have is G301, which is called Honey Bean, and it says it's a mirror-like shine that's non-sticky. It says long-lasting, transfer-proof, lightweight, non-sticky, and lip nourishing. So I think I really want to try this sort of like more berry red. I think I'm just gonna try it without a lip liner just to get the true color. So this packaging, really simple but still beautiful. It is a really thin formula. Like, it feels more like a lip tint versus a liquid lipstick. So this totally has like a lip tint texture to it, where it's a bit more sheer, so you're not gonna get a full pigment just with one swipe, which I actually found really helpful with applying it. Like, it just looks a lot smoother. And this isn't a shade I would necessarily pick for myself, but in terms of a red, I feel like it actually works quite well on my skin tone. This has the most fragrance, like at least a fragrance I can notice. Like with everything else, I didn't really notice a fragrance. This one, it just has like a clean floralness to it. It's not bothering me too much. I think this looks really pretty. It does have a nice shine. I'll let it sit a little bit and then we'll see if it does transfer. So now that the lipstick is set, let's see. Did transfer. Maybe I'm supposed to let it dry a little bit more. Just a slight bit on my hand there. But all right, let me go through and I'll let you know my final thoughts on everything, at least so far. So the cushion foundation, I definitely used too much right off the bat, but it was so full coverage and looks really beautiful. I'm noticing it's looking like a little heavy, but like I said, I think I just ended up using too much, and the shade is slightly dark for me, but I was really amazed by how full coverage it was, and we'll see. I will update you in the comments on how this one wears. For the powder, I think this is already like an automatic win for me. We'll have to see how it controls oil, but I love the soft matte finish. It feels extremely comfortable. It doesn't feel too drying. It also looks really pretty on the under eyes, which doesn't always happen with powders. And I have different types and different colors, and also like a shimmer finish of this. I love the packaging. It feels really nice and just so luxury. For the blushes, I love these. They look so gorgeous on the skin, especially this like cool one that I have, but the peachy one that I swatched looked so gorgeous as well. You still get that touch of like that just gorgeous embossing, but it just looks like a cream, but like sets like a powder for the longevity. It's just so gorgeous and fresh looking. And then we have the eyeshadow palette here, which really wows you with the art. But I was also really surprised by the formulas in here. The shimmers are really gorgeous. I mean, the eyes are just glowing. If you like really smooth metallics like I do, I'm just such a fan of like gel baked formulas. They look beautiful on the eyes. I think the mattes blended like a dream. Like they kind of blend themselves out, and I just think they're the perfect amount of pigmentation to be user friendly but also really effective. So I am really curious to see what other colorways they come out with this, because I like the shape of it as well. It's like really easy to hold and it's so unique, and it is a gorgeous looking palette, but I also feel like on the eyes it's beautiful as well. For the liquid lipstick, really nice and thin. It's almost like a lip stain. Like it feels basically like nothing on the lips. It's really comfortable, not accentuating dryness. It wasn't quite as transfer proof as it said that it was going to be, but I really like the look of this, surprisingly. And then for the lipstick here, the packaging is obviously insanely beautiful. I am curious about this formula now. Let's try this on. Yeah, this is one of those soft blurring matte formulas, which I think is gorgeous. This red's a little bit warm, but it looks like they have such a nice sort of array of reds to choose from, so you can sort of find your perfect one. I don't totally mind this though with like the warmer eyes. So this feels really nice and lightweight. I was hoping that the formulas would live up to how beautiful the packaging is. And I would say across the board, pretty much everything was really nice. Their price point, depending on what you get, like for this gorgeous palette, I think it's around $50. So it's not like a Natasha Denona palette or anything, and you do get those 9 shades. So I think if you're interested, if you really love collecting makeup, or these just look interesting to you, I think it would be worth checking out their site. I'm already like, I want to know what else they are selling on their site because these are so beautiful. I'd love to know in the comments below if you've heard of this brand before, and if not, if you're interested in it now. There's going to be a video on the screen here that YouTube thinks you might like, and you know, I think you might like it too. So let's keep hanging out. I will see you over there. Bye.